Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari, and in the series of Indian Evidence Act, we were focusing on chapter 9, which is all about witness, covered between section 118 to 134. In that series, we were focusing on privileged communications or compellability of witness, covered between section 121 to 132, and in that series, this is my second video where we are going to focus on sections 125 to 129. In my previous video, I have covered the earlier 4 sections which are focusing on the communication happened in front of judges and magistrates, and the communication between husband and wife during marriage, the affairs of the states, as well as the communication by public officer. All of them were covered, and here we are covering the next 5 important sections. Not taking much of your time, let's get into the first slide. Let's start the discussion with section 125, which discusses about information as to commission of offences. Let's quickly go through the Bare Act provision before we get into my charts. The section says, no magistrate or police officer shall be compelled to say whence, that means from where or which source, he got any information as to the commission of any offence, and no revenue officer shall be compelled to say whence, that means from where or which source, he got any information as to the commission of any offence against the public revenue. Here there is an explanation also available for the term revenue officer, which says revenue officer in this section means an officer employed in or about the business of any branch of the public revenue. That is what the Bare Act provision says. Now let's get into my chart. If you read the provision carefully, you will realize that there are 2 parts under section 125. The first part is related to commission of any offences, and the second part deals with the commission of any offences against public revenue. So in the first part we are discussing about a magistrate or a police officer, whereas in the second part we are discussing about a revenue officer. What does section 125 says? It says a magistrate or police officer should not be compelled to disclose the source of the information related to commission of any offense. Now a magistrate or a police officer got an information related to commission of an offense. Now nobody can compel or nobody should compel such magistrate or police officer as to from where or from which source they got the information. That is the first part. In the second part, a revenue officer should not be compelled to disclose the source of the information related commission of any offences against public revenue. In the first part we discussed about commission of any offence, whereas in the second part we are discussing about revenue officer and we are discussing about commission of any offence against public revenue. When they have got such information, nobody should compel them to disclose from where or from which source they got such information. Now the next question is, why so? See, the police officer or a magistrate or a revenue officer, they all are getting information from some informal setup. Now if they start disclosing that we have got information from so and so source or so and so person, in later stages what happens? Nobody would trust them and give information. By that way you will not get any information related to commission of an offense. So to ensure that we are protecting such sources, or we are safeguarding such sources, or we are not embarrassing such sources, or for futuristic perspective, like what is futuristic perspective? Imagine somebody has given information related to commission of any offense or commission of any offense against public revenue. Now if you are protecting them today, that means they will come up with more information tomorrow. They will trust this system. They remember that the system is going to protect the sources of information. They are safeguarding us. They are not embarrassing us. When they have the trust, then they will come back to the system and give more and more information. And remember, these informations are crucial for the system to run healthily. That is very, very important. Without such information, it becomes very difficult for a magistrate or a police officer or a revenue officer to run their daily business. That is why protection of the source of such information is very, very important, and that is the sole objective of section 125. I hope that makes it very clear. With that, I am moving to the next slide. Then comes section 126, which discusses about professional communications, which has three beautiful illustrations also. In my next slide, I have the chart, and then we are discussing about the three important illustrations. But for now, I will quickly read out the BERAC provision. If you really don't want to follow the BERAC provision, you can skip the video for next 1 minute or so. Now, the section says, no barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil shall at any time be permitted unless with his client's express consent to disclose any communication made to him in the course and for the purpose of his employment as such barrister, pleader, attorney or vakil, by or on behalf of his client, or to state the contents or condition of any document with which he has become acquainted in the course and for the purpose of his professional employment, or to disclose any advice given by him to his client in the course and for the purpose of such employment, provided that nothing in this section shall protect from disclose any such communication made in furtherance of any illegal purpose, any fact observed by any barrister, pleader, attorney or vakil in the course of his employment as such, showing that any crime or fraud has been committed since the commencement of his employment. It is immaterial whether the attention of such barrister, pleader, attorney or vakil was or was not directed to such fact by or on behalf of his client. There is one explanation available which is very important and says, the obligation stated in this section continues after the employment has ceased. Now, what is this section? Let us try understand with the help of a beautiful chart, and then we have three beautiful illustrations in my next two slides. This is the chart I was discussing about, and here I have made section 126 very easy. But before getting in there, let us try understand what is professional communication. Now, when a client hires a barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil, and if he gives any information related to that case, now the communication happened between those two are professional communication. Now the client is giving information to such professional barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil only for the purpose of that case. Now such information cannot be disclosed. That is what discussed under section 126. It covers barrister, attorney, pleader as well as vakil. Now they should not be permitted to disclose. See the beauty of this section. It is not just compelling them to disclose. It very clearly prohibits, even if they want to disclose, they cannot be permitted by the court to disclose. That is the sensitivity and the high importance of section 126. Even if the barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil wants to disclose, the court will not permit them to disclose. That is the beauty of this section. And what are the information? It can be any communication given by the client or any content of a particular document or condition of a document. None of these informations can be disclosed by a barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil, or should not be permitted to disclose. That is what this section discusses, and such information is given by the client himself or someone from client's behalf. Now somebody has given such information to barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil related to any communication, contents of documents or condition of documents for the purpose of such professional employment or during the course of such professional employment. Now this information should not be permitted to disclose while the case is running or even after such employment is ceased. Like for example, client has shared the information between January 1st, 2020 to 31st December 2020. Now, in this 365 days, client has given the information to a barrister, attorney, pleader or a vakil for the purpose of such professional employment or during the course of such professional employment, and this must have contained any communication or some contents of documents or condition of documents which is being disclosed by the client or someone by client's behalf, but now the professional employment is ceased. In that case, can the barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil share the communication or the contents of documents or the condition of document? The answer is no, because during that 1 year, there was a professional employment by the barrister, attorney, pleader or vakil with his client, and when they had professional employment, they cannot disclose anything or they should not be permitted to disclose unless and until there is a clear consent from the client or someone on behalf of client. Now that is very important, but there are two exceptions which are given here. Any such communication made in furtherance of any illegal purpose or any fact observed by any barrister. See, it is not communicated, it is observed by any barrister, pleader, attorney or vakil in the course of his employment as such, showing that any crime or fraud has been committed since the commencement of his employment, and it is immaterial whether the attention of such barrister, pleader, attorney or vakil was or was not directed to such fact by or on behalf of his client. Now whatever is being observed is being exempted. Likewise, any such communication made in furtherance of any illegal purpose also been exempted. Now we have three beautiful illustrations in my next slide which makes it all clear. Let's get into that slide. As I said, there are three illustrations and I have named them as forgery without criminal purpose, forgery with criminal purpose and fact observed by the professional in the course of employment. Let us try understand them one by one, which gives lot of clarity to section 126. What happens in the first illustration? There is a person by name A who hires B as his attorney, and what A has done, he has committed a forgery and he wants B to defend him. Now here in this case, whatever forgery that A has committed has no criminal purpose in furtherance. In that case, the communication happened between A and B should be always kept confidential, and the court will not permit B to share such information in the court. That is very important aspect we need to understand. Now one example can be A has a particular experience certificate but he lost it. Now he makes another certificate similar to it without changing any of the data point of his lost experience certificate. Here he is not misusing by increasing the experience or mentioning higher salary, something like that. He is just making another copy of the lost document. Now that is not a right thing to do, but however he is not creating a document with fake information. He had such document and he is recreating it. To that extent, if he has given information to the attorney, attorney should not disclose that information to anyone because that is being protected. But what happens in the second illustration? Here A creates a forged document with the purpose of obtaining possession of a property. So there is an intention furtherance to the creation of such forged document, and if he asks B, his attorney, to defend him, here the communication can be disclosed by B, the attorney, because there is a criminal purpose for making such forged document. That is the clear difference we need to observe here, and that is very important point to be noted. In the third case, what happens? There is again one Mr. A who appoints B as his attorney, and what does A done? He is being charged with the offense of embezzlement. That means he has done some criminal misappropriation of money and he has given an account book to his attorney, and at the later stage the attorney realizes that there were some new entries made which were not mentioned during hiring him. Now in that case, these are the new facts observed by such attorney, and the new facts observed by such attorney can be disclosed by him, because while engaging in that professional employment, such communication or the document or the status of the document was not informed to the attorney, and it is with his own skill he has found such facts, and that can be disclosed. I hope that makes it all clear. With that, I am moving on. Section 127 is the continuation of section 126. There under section 126 it is applicable for barristers, pleaders, attorneys and vokils, whereas section 127 says it is not just barristers, pleaders, attorneys or vokils, it is also applicable to the interpreters and the clerks or the servants of such barristers, pleaders, attorneys and vokils. Everything else remains same, but this extends the other group also who are working with barristers, pleaders, attorneys and vokils. That is what we need to observe here. Section 128 is also continuation of section 126. Remember that section 126 is the privilege of the client. Now, if the client himself or herself wants to leave off that privilege, in that case they can permit any of such barrister, pleaders, attorney or vokils to disclose whatever matter is being discussed between them. So it is all about the client or someone on behalf of client. They can leave off their privileges. That is what section 128 discusses about. Section 129 is the continuation of section 126, 127 and 128. By now we know which are the parties covered here, and section 129 discusses about confidential communications with legal advisors. When there is a communication by a client with all the parties that we have discussed under 126, 127 and 128, that communication shall not be forced by the court to disclose unless and until under section 129, where the client himself becomes the witness. Now here, if he or she offers himself or herself as witness, in that case court may compel him. It is not shall. Court has the discretion. It may compel such client to disclose the confidential dialogue happened between him or her and the legal advisors. That's all about section 129. Here in this last slide, I have given the list of those cases which are very important as far as the sections that we have discussed in my today's class, and requesting you to take the screenshot of the same for the purpose of notes. That's for this session, and in my next session I am going to cover the remaining 3 sections as far as the compellability of witness or the privileged communications are concerned. Before concluding, always remember, a little more persistence, a little more effort, and what seemed helpless failure may turn to glorious success. Yes, it's absolute truth. When you are attempting for something, don't agree failure very easily. Always go for your best shot, and who knows, one more effort can bring you a beautiful success. And success is always possible when you are putting lot of efforts. With that, I am concluding. Thank you so much for subscribing my channel. Please like, share and comment my videos. All the very best for whatsoever purpose you are referring my channel, and thanks again.